The lighting, John.
Oh, it's beautiful.
The animation.
It's really good.
The rendering.
It's really, really good.
And the story?
It's horrible.
Yoinkers, man. Welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. We post 3 videos a week. Hit that subscribe button to get updated with all of our new content and go to asart.space for audio links to our podcast. John, this movie is bad. Like, I feel like they're trying to just grab any character Hanna-Barbera owns. They're like, oh, what about Captain? Oh, what about, oh, remember the wacky races? Oh, what if we bring the villain in for the wacky races with the dog?
There was a slight moment at the beginning where I was very hopeful because they pretty much, the original Scooby Doo cartoon, they pretty much redid that opening montage, the Scooby Dooby Doo, where they're running around. They redid that. I'm like, oh, this is that, but it's newer. Yes, and I have
we
to
didn't
say,
get any of that. We didn't get any of that throughout.
No,
the movie.
we did.
There was even a mystery. There wasn't even a mystery, and it's just like, what the heck? Like, it's like, their whole thing's about solving mysteries and having it be aliens or whatever, and having it just be a man. It's Old Man Jenkins, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I would have did it.
And that was the thing. So Kate, my wife, watched about 8/10 of this with me, and we both like the original Scooby Doo's, and she just couldn't. She's like, you know what? I can't take this. She goes, clearly, Scooby and Shaggy are going to get back together, and I guarantee you at the end they're going to sing a song. That's exactly. But that's what always happens. So you have to remember, we are obviously not the target audience for this. They aren't catering this to the nostalgia of the old show. This is for current generation kids, and so in that regard, I have to wonder: is it a successful movie? I don't know.
Well, I don't even think they knew who it was for, because like you had like the opening sequence and you had someone with a boombox, but then he had an iPhone, and I feel like then they have the old van instead of it like being like, if you think it would be modern, they would have like a modern looking mystery van. But I don't even know what time frame this is taking place in.
The like time periods are very mixed. Yes, yeah.
And then he has a smartphone when he's a kid. So does this mean that they're in the future? And that, you know, I mean, it's just like so all over the place with the audience, the jokes, everything is just like, it's so. I mean, there was probably like 2 or 3 moments where I chuckled because it was just a couple jokes between Shag and Scooby. I think it was like when they're having the meeting. And he's like, I think having a lunch or a sandwich right now would be a good idea. And then Scoob's like, oh, me too. Like he's seconds like, it's like, oh, cool, this is great. But then you're not even with the mystery team. They leave to go do a superhero movie. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's just like, it doesn't make sense. And then they have this old vehicle with this high tech science thing. Nothing made sense. And then they have minions. They have minions in this movie, these little cute robots, and it's just like, what is going on here? I think they took a weird writing stance. I feel like maybe they had an original script, and then like the heads wanted to reduce certain things and make it more accessible for modern cultures, and also maybe more, I don't know, like you were saying, for kids and stuff, but the story was just bad. And like the whole idea of like putting your hands together and like there was just so many like bad plot twists and character. What they did with certain characters was just wrong. Like I don't think any of the mystery group other than Shag and Scooby had their original personalities.
No, not really. I mean, Velma a little bit. Velma, right, a little bit. The right, Velma's with the glasses. She was kind of her.
But person. We never got to see them, and when we did, it was really for stupid jokes. Yeah, it wasn't even for like what we know them for, kind of thing. Like, I mean, there, even when they went to like the whole like ancient thing, there was a door. It was a superhero battle scene. It wasn't even like going through like India, style and like, weighing the thing or hitting trap doors. There were like no trap doors in this adventure. There was like no being chased background loops. They didn't give us one background loop animation, you know what I mean? Where it just looks like the same building, like the cheesy stuff. I mean, we got that one scene at the beginning where they're like doing the order thing, like, oh, what do you want? It's like, oh, cool, this is fun. Like, they always did like distraction stuff, but nothing like that happened at the ending. And I think it was because they added a superhero. There was no need for a superhero and the squad. There
Well,
was no need for that.
it seems like a lot of movies now, if you think about, especially when they've done new trilogy and things like that, they bring in too many new characters. So you think about the original Star Wars trilogy, and I'm sorry, we're going to get out of Star Wars territory quick, but they had the original group, and they brought in maybe Lando and some other people, but just a small. Then you get to the prequels, they add in all these characters that come and go really quick. Then you have the newest trilogy. They do the same thing. This seems to be a popular thing to do, where you incorporate or integrate all these characters, but then you don't really develop them. And what we really needed from this being a reboot is just stick with your main core cast of characters and maybe give us one or two new characters maximum. And they didn't give us many more than that, but they took away from the time with the main core group. And Kate, my wife, did say, she goes, this would be she goes, this is kind of like a lose-lose situation, where you're taking something that's from the 70s and you're trying to put it into modern times where it's relevant to the young kids that are watching it and still appease the old audience. That's really hard to do. But then we both agreed the Snoopy movie, or the Peanuts movie, completely, absolutely did that. And then they didn't have any of these smartphone things or popular culture music or pop music, and they had none of those references. Yeah. And it had all the charm. Now, I don't know if that did well from a financial standpoint, though. The Peanuts movie. The Peanuts movie? Okay. But, and that was Blue Sky. That was Blue Sky. The people did.
I think you're right, though. Why not just stick to the roots of the show? Like, Scooby-Doo's been around for how long, making money?
Long time.
What it does. And they could have added some new stuff to it. They could have made it in the modern age and just had fun, though. They could still, they didn't have to make it about, like, why Scooby-Doo can talk. I guess because he's descended from a god, like, alien dog race. I don't know. Maybe, was this all just explaining why he talks? Was this all about, like, the weird supernatural why he can talk to the? I don't get the point of this. Like, they should have did something so elaborate where it just was a big multimillionaire who was trying to steal gems or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. It didn't fit Scooby-Doo. Like, you have...
Well, this kind of reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where they need a good story thing to catch on. Let's make Star-Lord the son of a god, and that'll make for a good story. Like, well, and then they did this with Scooby-Doo.
Everyone's trying to copy Marvel. I think Marvel turned into the whole universe of filmmaking.
Well, but what you were saying, though, I very much agree with. And this is something that happens with a lot of films, a lot of movies, is you have a script, and then that script is rewritten many times. And maybe it goes to another set of hands, and it's rewritten more. And then, so by the time it gets, that's maybe why it seemed like a convoluted mess, is it could have been refined so many times by the time we got what we got, that it is kind of all over the place, because it has all kinds of that's what they say is the problem with the big studio system, is there's so many hands that touch a film by the time it's finished, that it's hard to stay true to a vision, and kind of rightfully so. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that go in these things. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I mean, think about it. They could have been like, what makes the most money right now? Superhero movies. Is there a way we can add superheroes to Scooby-Doo?
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
And what if the person's like, well, I have this cool backstory about, no, we need to make it superheroes. And do we have a villain? No, we don't have a villain. What else do we have that we own? IP wise. Wacky races. Yeah, let's bring this guy in with it. It's just like, what? How is he the villain? Like, I don't think there's any cartoon looking characters in the Scooby-Doo universe. I think the most cartoony thing is Scooby-Doo. Everyone else is like humans. And this guy was so cartoony, he almost didn't even fit in with the other humans, because the other humans look so plain and simple. Like, even our main characters, I don't think, well, at least three of them, they did a good job with Shaggy and Scoob.
Yeah.
From 2D to 3D. But all the, like, Velvet, all those other characters.
Velvet, huh? Velvet, wow.
But I'm just saying, like, they did not look like their original 2D animated. Like, they had a couple features, but they were really missing, like, they didn't feel right. Like,
some of their
her eyes were like twisted. I don't know. There was just some things that they did were just like,
were they supposed to be younger still? Because they looked like they were still kind of kids were they supposed to be like in between the age that they were supposed to be in the cartoons? But that doesn't make sense because they're having
They,
smartphones, so it doesn't really make sense.
and they showed us a timeline of all of their past like adventures that we've seen through their show. You know what I mean? So
But
it's
I mean,
like
they did look younger. I didn't mind. I thought Velma and Daphne and Fred looked fine. They didn't look the same, but I thought, for a creative interpretation, they were fine. It was just mostly how they went about. I mean, they definitely pushed stuffed popular culture down your throat every chance they got, and I think that kind of ruined it. And certain games and certain films have been doing that, and I think most people don't like it. When something's pushed too hard on you, people tend to not like that. If you're gonna It's like spoon feeding the audience plot points. You want to give them, you want to make it clear enough that they're going to figure it out on their own, but you don't want to spoon feed them. You're like, all right, thank you, Captain Obvious, we got it, So, and I feel like they just try to stuff. But then again, kids maybe loved it. Maybe they're doing
well,
it.
kids are gonna like whatever though. Kids will like whatever's in front.
Yeah,
of
that's
them.
true. And so I guess a test of this is, okay, which one is more financially successful, the Peanuts movie or the Scooby Doo or the Scoob movie? But even you said we can't do that because this was released during quarantine, and we have to address that too. So this was planned to premiere in theaters. It had trailers released before the quarantine, and then the quarantine hit, and you can go and fill in from there.
The only one we can compare it to is Trolls 2, which also bombed. Yeah, right.
No, Trolls made a huge amount of money. I think it did very.
Well,
the new one that they released.
Oh,
the new one.
did it? Well, I think the movie was bad, but I think it made money because it's a sequel.
It made a lot of money.
I think the writers, one of the writers for this, worked on your favorite movie, John, Alvin and the Chipmunks.
And if you guys aren't up with the in joke, one of the movies I worked on when I was in the film industry was Alvin and the Chipmunks when I was at Rhythm and Hughes. Of all the movies you get, of all the great movies Rhythm and Hughes get, I got Alvin and the Chipmunks. So yeah,
it happens to the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think they missed the mark. They had the rights to a great loved character. I mean, everyone loves. I mean, there's probably a handful of people out there that don't care for Scooby Doo, but on the most part, people know Scooby Doo. It's like Snoopy. It's like Mickey Mouse. It's a character that's been around, and they blew it. They blew the chance of doing it right.
Wow, you're so harsh. They blew it.
They did, dude. 100%. I don't think anyone likes this movie, and it doesn't like pertain to kids. Like really, like it's so random and out there. Like the kids would have to have watched Scooby Doo to understand all this. If you're watching this for the first time as a kid, you're like, "What?" This like there's like a brief like, "Oh, like hey, it's the boy and his dog" kind of thing. But other than that, it's like, wait a minute, they want a franchise? How come? Wait, they left the group and now they're with superheroes? Like for kids watching Scooby Doo for the first time, they don't even know about the mystery crew. Really, they don't know how the mysteries are solved. It's like a whole new revamp.
The only other thing that I slightly compare this to, and this is not a comparison at all, a completely different tier of movie, but the Incredibles Part 2 doesn't like the mom or the dad sneak off and become part of this new group or whatever. And maybe, I mean, I think they were trying to pick and choose. Okay, this has been successful. This is popular. I really think they made a good effort to make sure that they made money, and maybe they did. And if that's
a huge investment,
then technically they are successful. If they made money, they're successful. And if they're successful, that means we're probably going to see more movies. Yeah. Hopefully the next one will be better. But that's really the long and short of it is, did it make money for the studio? After
animations are expensive too.
Yes.
Especially something on this level and quality.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I thought Nick obviously had a little bit of issues with the Velma, Daphne, and Fred. I thought the movie was absolutely beautiful. I thought the rendering was beautiful. I thought the lighting was fantastic. The particle effects and the simulations were great. I mean, it made me feel so bad for all the animators and the visual effects artists that worked so many hours on this, because it is a beautiful technical achievement. It's just, and I'm not even blaming on writers or directors because we don't know what the cycle of this getting made was. But when it came down to it, it just didn't hit the mark that you had hoped it to. But again, this is a lot to live up to. This has been around since the late 60s or 70s. But
Spider-Man Into the Universe, that's a lot to live up to. That's probably even bigger than Scooby-Doo, and they knocked it out of the park.
Peanuts movie. I mean, you can definitely bring things
even
from the
Lego
times.
movie. they freaking made it a brilliant movie off of Legos. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like it's possible to make a good
Yes, for
movie
sure,
with
for sure.
like, and the Lego movie probably proved it better than anything. Like they made a
Mhm.
great movie off of a Lego brick. Like
You
come
know
on,
what?
like it's a fantastic. It's the Matrix for kids. If you guys haven't seen the Lego movie, watch the Lego movie.
When that movie came out, this is when I was teaching at one of the colleges I taught at, and a student came in. He was a former Marine, really like manly man type guy. I think he took his daughter or one of his kids to go see it. He goes, bro, I saw the best movie I've ever seen this last week. I go, really? What'd you see? He goes, Lego movie. I'm like, what? The Lego movie's like? He's like, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I cried. But it was a really good movie, and you had those little YouTube Lego shorts that were fun, but I would never thought of a feature
Or the
length movie out of
games.
that.
The games
Yeah,
were
the
fun too.
games, yeah. But I mean, it worked wonderfully as a movie. So you're right. This Scooby Doo movie could have been a great
There's no
movie.
excuses for bad writing. Like I mean, it's the producers and stuff, but like you can literally make a great story as long as you hit certain beats. And they
Mhm.
they could have did that. They could have did a fantastic dog best friend kind of thing and still had it with the
Mhm.
group and
Yeah,
had nothing
yeah.
to do with ancient Rome and some mythology kind of thing. You know what I mean? They could have easily did it with the normal story.
But in the very late '90s and early 2000s, they made a number of cartoon Scooby Doo kind of revamps, and one of them was called Scooby Doo on Zombie Island. I remember this because I've been a lifelong Scooby Doo fan, and my sister got me the VHS tape for Christmas, and I thought this is probably not going to be very good, and it was really great. But like you said, it's stuck to the original formula. They're in a place that maybe they don't know. In this one, there was a little bit of actual magic, but it's a mystery. They have to solve it, and
Hmm.
it
It's with the group.
if you have a winning formula, then that's a problem that you get with like even the Terminator. Every new director, every iteration, when they want to reinvent it and do something different,
Yeah.
which I get. Sometimes people get tired of doing the same old thing, or you don't want to copy what someone else has done. But if it works and it's a good formula, why don't you do that?
But
But at the
it's like
same,
using the hero story though. Everyone
yeah,
uses the hero story, but it's the adventure on how to get there. Like they could have used
yeah.
the same formula. The reason why Scooby Doo had the same formula for every episode because it worked. People tuned in every
Well,
day.
it worked, and they were on a budget, and they couldn't do crazy stuff. Here, they have the 3D based cameras and characters. They can do basically anything they want. I mean, Hanna Barbera was famous not only for their cartoons they put out, but for making it very economically friendly to make it like Nick was saying, the looped backgrounds, the redone animations. It had a look to it because they were doing things in a very financially
Budget
sound,
friendly. Yeah.
yeah, budget friendly. But again, sometimes when you throw too much money at something, it actually has the adverse
Yeah.
effect on it. Yeah. So I I I love the
Over
look of
20
it.
minutes of us being angry about Scooby Doo.
No, I mean, I do have a lot of praise for it in the technical and visual
Yes.
categories.
Mhm.
Just the road they decided to go down didn't work out greatly for an adult watching it. Again,
Yeah.
we'd have to have a focus group of kids watching this to see if it
Oh,
actually was
trust me, they
successful.
probably did.
And if they liked it, then it was a good movie. But the Peanuts movie, I'm thinking probably appealed to everyone. So you can do it.
Yeah.
You have
Well,
to do it
that's
a
why
very particular
Pixar
way.
did so great, and even early DreamWorks films, like
Mhm.
they did good because they found that balance that
Yeah.
adults can have fun and kids can have fun, and that's the most important thing. I feel like.
But that's an easy thing to say when you have DreamWorks and Pixar, two of the best companies to ever do it too. I mean, that's it's kind of hard to say. Who is this? Warner Brothers? Who made this? I
I
forgot.
mean, Disney's done it for years.
Yeah. Oh yes, of course.
I
Well,
mean, Warner
Disney
Brothers.
started. Yeah, Disney started getting better in the 3D realm when they merged with Pixar, and they had some of the Pixar heads come over to Disney. So Disney
Yeah.
struggled with it even for a
Well,
while
even
too.
even when Jeffrey Katzenberg was doing
Hmm.
Lion King and stuff like that, those were fantastic
Oh
films.
yes,
Though, at the
those
time.
my favorites. Yeah,
Yeah.
Aladdin and Lion King are my favorites. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, it's totally possible, and with how many talented writers we have, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't. It's so frustrating. It's just so frustrating. On that note, John, send us home.
So you guys, let us know if you're younger than us, if you're the same age as us, if you're somewhere in between. Let us know if you've seen this Scoob movie and if you liked it. And let us know if you watched it when it first started streaming. When it first came out, you bought a digital ticket and it was $20. I was interested in seeing this when I saw trailers for it, but there wasn't anyway, I was going to pay $20 for it, even if I have a good home theater. So if you watched it when it first came out, did you feel like it was worth it? If you've even watched it now, we watch it on Redbox. Do you feel like it's worth it? And you might have completely different opinions than us, and we'd love to hear them because my hunch is we're not the target market. And so if you are the target market or you really liked it, maybe you have a different perspective on it. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully didn't ramble too much. Hopefully fun stuff. Check out AsArt.space for all the other audio and video links. Of course, if you're watching here on YouTube, click subscribe so you can be updated when we have new stuff coming up. A lot of new stuff, varying content coming up. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next AsArt.